Well, Lisamarie, it's that time again, right? For the CRE Power Hour.
Yes, I look forward to this every 2 weeks. Welcome to CRE Power Hour. And today our guest speaker is Alexanne Stone. And Stephanie and I are so excited to have her on our show. And hey, everybody, we have a live audience today. We welcome you to ask questions and chat throughout the hour. And we'd love you to start out by dropping your name and where you're from and what industry you're in. My name is Lisamarie Wand, and my amazing co-host, Stephanie Gilezan. And we've spent the last 2 decades growing and scaling our businesses. And together, we are bringing a new space for you to learn alongside the best in the real estate business at CRE Power Hour. So let's get right into it. Hey, Alexanne, thanks so much for being on our show today.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
And I'm going to introduce you. You have an amazing resume. And so I'm just going to hit the highlights and then you fill in. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
So Alexanne was really she worked for some of the best companies, including Apple, and she climbed the corporate ladder as a vice president of software in Santa Clara. And was that for IBM, Alexanne?
No, that wasn't. That was for a company called Informal Software. They were ahead of their time, like many companies in Silicon Valley.
Yes, yes. And then at the same time, Alexanne realized the powerful impact of Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is kind of hard to say, or NLP. Alexanne's a rock star, and she's here today specifically to talk about body language and how that can help you grow and scale your business if you use body language in your favor. So Alexanne, welcome.
Thank you. Just want to jump in really quickly on the intro. I sold Apple computers in the early days. I did not work for Apple. It was right after Steve Jobs moved out of the garage and then bought a little teeny weeny building in Cupertino. And he had dealers that actually sold Apple computers. So I worked for one of their dealers and I was a top dealer for 3 years. So it was super cool. It was so fun. I had no idea they weren't serious and people considered them toys back then.
Yeah, now, one of those original computers is worth like a bank.
I know. Who knew?
You should have kept one.
What?
You should have kept one.
Don't you think? But you don't, hindsight's, I should have kept my Barbie dolls.
That's yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things we should have kept. As I throw away more stuff, I'm like, maybe I should keep it. I know, but how do you keep all this stuff? It's junk.
Yeah. It is to someone else too. Yeah, a lot of times it's like, oh, it has such great meaning to us and it doesn't mean anything to anybody else. So the other thing I want to throw in is that I'm really proud because I am a U.S. Air Force decorated Vietnam era veteran. So I like that.
Awesome. I love that.
Hands up. Yeah, so it's very cool.
Thank you for your service, Alexanne.
You're very welcome.
Stephanie, you're going to get to know her more today. Alexanne is full of surprises and she has so many different experiences. So our job today is to keep her on track, talking about body language and how that can help people grow their business. And maybe we'll have you back for something else later. So we do have a live audience today. Welcome to everyone to our live show. It looks like we have Karina here from Las Vegas. Hi, Karina. Anybody else here that wants to pipe in and let us know where they're from? And please ask questions as we go along.
Absolutely.
Stephanie, you want to lead?
I have, and of course they always create questions, Alexanne, and I just fly by the seat of my pants. It's what I've done my entire career. And I just want to know what intrigued you to even think about this? I mean, I think it's awesome. I feel a lot of times I'm able to read people's body language, which is why, especially I've got a deal later today where they want to get me back on a Zoom because they probably need another extension. And, and I just give them my full, what face, right?
Yeah.
But what intrigued you to get to be this expert in body language?
It's a bit of a path. It started with neuro-linguistic programming, like Lisamarie said, and NLP. And NLP was originally developed in the early 70s as a therapeutic tool. So I ended up I had a pretty treacherous childhood and I got help through using NLP. So we're trained in body language about this much in neuro-linguistic programming. I would be in a sales scenario, 20 years in Silicon Valley, and I couldn't understand I'd see something and I would gloss over it, or I would make it mean something. I'd mind read it. And finally, I started noticing that there was a similar pattern in the way people behaved when you'd ask a certain question or when you'd say a certain thing. And I started studying it because I was like, okay, I want to know what this is. And so a big thing, I love to share this tip. Can I share tips?
Yes, please. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So one of the biggest mind reads that salespeople do is when someone presents the offer or the price, for example, that sometimes the person that you present it to will sit back. And when they sit back, if you're not really paying close attention, you'll find your mind reading whatever the heck you think just happened. Oh my gosh, maybe it's too much money. Maybe they can't afford it. I should lower my price. Uh-oh, they're not really interested in buying. What the heck? So if I'm a body language expert and I know that if I sit back, it's a guarantee you're going to negotiate with your own self in your own head. And I'm going to use that tool. You don't think about it, right? So when you see someone lean back like that and you recognize it, what you want to do is say, so tell me what your thoughts are about what we just talked about, or tell me what your thoughts are about what I just said, or what are you thinking? So instead of a yes, no question, you're going to ask an open question about their thoughts, because now we're going down the rabbit hole. If you ask them, how does that look to you? And they're not a look person, they're a feeling person, you lost them.
Yeah.
So when you ask a thought, the thought is a neutral word. So what are your thoughts about that? And then they'll answer however they answer. That makes sense?
Absolutely. I mean, and I think back to all the presentations of offers that I've made, and you're absolutely right. I mean, people I do that. I sit there because I'm a lot of times the seller as well. I have I'm a developer, so I'm all the time sitting on the seller side, and I do it just to screw with people, right? like I'm just like,
I can totally see that.
I want them to lean in and go, oh, is that? And yes, it is, or, I mean, I think it's a power play at that moment, right? And if you read it right, then you're winning the game.
This is the difference between just thinking you recognize body language, which a lot of us do. It's innate, it's natural. Consciously knowing and consciously using it makes a big difference. And people are like, ooh, it's so manipulative. So from my place, it's more of coming from the heart. It's like, if I have enough tools to open a conversation at a deeper level with you, what I call listening underneath, especially if you're in the sales or the buyer position, either way, it doesn't matter. If you can listen underneath, you can understand what's going on.
So when I see someone sit back like that, where my consciousness goes is that they're thinking. And so then I sit back.
Again, so matching and mirroring is a really powerful tool. One of the things that the numbers that they throw out, and these numbers are not carved in stone, just so we get this clear, as much as 93% of your communication takes place at the unconscious level. So when you are matching and mirroring, when you're matching or mirroring someone's body language, you're sending a rapport signal that it's just a natural thing. If you've ever gone into a bar and seen two people who are really into each other and they're both leaning on the bar, looking at each other really closely, they're in magical rapport, and that body language supports that. When you know the tool in sales, you can build instant rapport with someone and get into the conversation much more quickly. So you're consciously, they lean back, you lean back. That's a natural response. They lean back, you lean forward. How do they receive that? If you lean forward like that, they're going to take it as, kind of a kind of conflicting attack or something. But if you lean forward with a big smile on your face and say, so tell me what your thoughts are, then you've made a nice platform for them to say what they have to say. But matching and mirroring is a really powerful tool. The one place where people mess it up is that once you've got rapport established, so Lisamarie, you and I are talking to each other for the very first time. You cross your legs, I cross my legs. You sit on your elbow, I sit on my elbow. Then all of us, you do that, I do this. All of a sudden we're in rapport. So once you've got rapport developed, relax until it's time to ask a closing question, or until they ask a question that's, I guess, what I would call a loaded question, a question that requires a serious answer. Then go back into rapport with your body language, and that eases it a little bit.
So how about continuing to build rapport? I was having this conversation with my boyfriend the other day, and I said to him,
do you guys have good rapport?
Yeah, we have good rapport, but and he's this huge, 6'5".
Yeah.
He's formidable. And I was talking to him about how continually building rapport is important. It's not like you do it once and then you stop. Like even in your personal relationships, but we're here to talk about business relationships today. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Imagine if you're going in to ask for a raise. You work somewhere, you're going in to ask for a raise, or you want the corner office or whatever it is that you want. When you've got 7 seconds with that person, because they're going to be watching. And that 7 seconds is when you have the ability to establish that rapport, and body language comes in really handy in that first 7 seconds. It does. There's another piece too, is that when I tell people what I do, they're like, oh, I don't know what to do with my hands now. I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands. The one thing I want to let people know is I've heard a lot of people say, I try to hold my gestures back. And in reality, if they studied all the TED Talks, and the people with the highest hits on TED Talks have the highest number of gestures. So Simon Sinek's leadership talk is such a great talk. And it's casual. It's like, it doesn't look formal, but he's got like 600 gestures in that talk. They counted them. And it's right up there at the top because gestures are so important. And then when we're here on Zoom, you have to learn how to gesture up here. And then when you go back in public, you have to gesture back to normal. Yeah. We call these Zoom hands.
Let's talk about that, because whenever I'm, we'll see, I'm doing it already. I'm very animated with my hands, and so are you. So yep. What does that say to people?
Great question. This is a great question. If I sit here, let's talk about body language. They say is around 55% of your communication. Tone of voice, pitch, speed, etc., is around 38%, and words are 7%. Which again, it's not carved in stone, because we spend so much time crafting words. If they're only worth 7%, forget it. Well, they are worth a lot more, and it's the delivery of the words that counts. So what happens is, I forgot the question.
It's about the
animation.
Oh, the animation. Oh, right. So if I talk to you and I say, hi, my name is Alexanne Stone. I'm a body language expert. I love to share the information about body language with everyone. I learned it from NLP. Your brain is like shutting down.
Oh my gosh. And we all run into those people, and we're like, oh.
We do. And so our brain has to work twice as hard or 3 times as hard to process the information. I'm telling a story with my hands and with my tone of voice and the number of times I pause and how excited or quiet I am. That story, your mind can pull all the pieces together, and it's easier for your mind to process the outcome or the final, the end of the story, simply because I'm doing all the gestures and helping with some illustrations is pretty much what it is.
So I have a question about that.
Okay.
Because I love speaking in front of people. In fact, Alexanne and I have been in front of groups together. And when I do professional speaking, I want to keep my little tics and things that people do to a minimum, and make gestures that are really going to be more impactful.
Yeah.
So can you talk about the balance there? Where
sure.
What counts the most?
We go there's an unwritten, undrawn box of around your body, and they usually say to gesture within that box. The other part of it is how much a person moves their eyes depends on if they're accessing memories or pictures, if they're accessing sounds, if they're accessing feelings or if they're accessing their self-talk. And it is a training that has to take place for a person to recognize that if their eyes are all over the place, they need to come back in. If their hands are all over the place, you want to stay inside that box initially.
Is the box like our Zoom box? Is this?
It's no, it's actually your physical box, like
Okay.
shoulders and in. So we're gesturing right here more than anything else, unless you're going to talk about something really big. You're in front of a group and you're going to talk about something really big, then go for it. But and also the other part is you'll find people who move their bodies like this when they talk.
Yeah, drives me
Super
crazy.
distracting. And it just takes training. It takes watch a video of yourself when you're presenting.
Yes.
Feel what it looks like, and get feedback from people that know you, where it's safe to ask for the feedback. How was it? But most people don't ask about their body language. They ask about their words.
I always ask when I stand, on a stage and, do a speech, whatever the case might be, speaking to a group. I always get off and I say, okay, how was that entire thing? Because I get, not like Lisa's saying with the whole body, but I do walk to the different places on the stage. I feel that I capture and they follow me, and it all means a lot more because I can't stand, if somebody gives me a podium, I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. I can't stand there and do that and be still. And I also like an ear mic because when I hold something, I feel halfway in use because I can't, do what I need to do. I know it's crazy, but I always worried or wondered, okay, am I too animated on that? But I mean, everybody, unless they lie to me, they say I'm not. They say, no, you did it great. So either they're liars or they're telling the truth.
Now you want to engage your audience, and energy, powerful, positive energy engages your audience. And this moving around the stage or moving around the audience also gives a person an ability to relax.
Yeah.
We process information every 20 to 30 seconds. We need a break. So people will look you in the eye and then they'll look away, and then they'll look you in the eye and then they'll look away. They'll move their heads around or something. We need a break. Our brain is processing information. How many times have you ever heard a presentation where somebody gives you a whole bunch of facts and then they move right into the next sentence and you can't hear the next sentence because your mind is busy processing the facts?
You gotta pause.
So we want, brain is full. We want that respite time. And by you moving around, it's the same as doing some gestures. You're giving the mind a break. You're giving people the ability to watch, think, and process. Yeah. And it's very interesting because there's a whole nother training in neuro-linguistic programming about the stage. When you're on stage, you anchor positive to one location on stage, anchor negative to another location on stage. So if I'm going to tell you something unpleasant, I'm going to do it from the same place on stage every single time. If I'm going to tell you something really wonderful and exuberant, I'm going to be right in the middle, pretty much. And I'm going to use my body to make sure I address everyone from that space. And that's my anchor. The unconscious mind will go, ha, as I walk over here, what's she going to tell me? And as I walk over here, yippee. And the unconscious mind registers that because it's registering that unspoken communication.
So if you have, for example, an offer for people, you're going to do that from center stage, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we have some questions from our live audience. Are you ready, Alexanne?
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay.
One of the questions is, talk about your frequency or your energy, because A types take up a lot of space. I take up a lot of space. That's from Dotine.
Okay.
A types.
Talk
A
about your
personalities.
energy. Yeah. A personality.
Or
take up a
I
lot.
types and D types, or Enneagram 3s or 7s, or pick your design, however you want to say it. So what was the question? Boy, I'm just having too much.
Talk about your frequency or your energy. And they were saying it in relation to being an A type, and that A types take up a lot of space, but maybe it's how does frequency and energy relate to body language? Maybe that's a great way to ask the question.
Yeah, that's a great way to ask the question. And boy, I do not know. I'm not sure, 100% sure of the question. The one piece I'm going to say about energy is when you're speaking or presenting, and this is a video that I have on YouTube. When you're speaking or presenting, it's called balancing your energy. So much of the time we get a little bit concerned. We get anxious, we get scared, we get this, we get that. Somebody asks a question and all of your energy goes up to the top of your head. You ever have one of those moments where you're just like, oh my God, somebody just tell me what to say. Somebody tell me what to do. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I have it when I'm driving down the road, like, oh, I'm lost, help, somebody tell me. So all of your energy is up in the top of your head and your body is off balance. This piece, the frontal lobe, shuts down, and that's your ability. That frontal lobe gives you the ability to think on your feet, answer questions really fast, go back to your resources, pull up something from the past that, or something that you know, a fact that you know. So if this is all up here, you can't remember anything. The solar plexus is your source of power. Ever be in a conversation with someone and a negative conversation and notice you have a stomach ache? Ever have that experience? Yeah, you've taken in their energy into your solar plexus. So when you keep yourself grounded in that solar plexus, and again, there's a video on YouTube that you can look at that's called Balancing Your Energy. When you have that energy balanced in your solar plexus, this frontal lobe stays open. And your ability to speak, use your body language, read what's going on with the audience, understand whether they're getting it or not, it's all wide open. And you are in their world versus in yours. When everything's up here, it's all about me. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say, blah, 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 blah. When it's here, it's all about them. And that includes when you're just in a sales call. When you're here, you're real, that balance that you have, that calm energy transfers across the room and brings people in as well. I don't know if that answers the question, but
I think it does, because I think about, well, first of all, what you're saying from coming from that solar plexus, like our gut, you know,
yes,
like gut feeling, it's easier for us to build rapport with people from that location. And I can tell when I can tell for myself, and I can also see someone else when I'm in a meeting or in front of a group of people. I can see when they're, and all of a sudden their energy goes off balance. Like either they're in their head or they're out of their body, or something's not right, or I lost them, like they went off somewhere. So I agree with you that that's a really good idea. So just to have the idea of saying centered, and you do that in your center, like you stay in your core.
You stay in your core. And if there's an exercise that I have on YouTube that if people aren't sure how to do it, you do it with a partner, and you can literally see how much the body goes off balance when your energy's all up here, as opposed to how solid you are when it's grounded in your solar plexus. It's astonishing. I love it.
Absolutely.
So
Michael, did you see Michael's or go ahead, Lisamarie.
It did. I wanted to ask you a question. So, you know, Stephanie's so successful. She's great at negotiating, and she's also a rock star. That's why I love having her as my co-host. So Stephanie, when you're in negotiations with someone and you see their energy go off kilter, do you like go in and like you're ready to like shark negotiate with them, or what's your take on that?
You know, a lot of what happens in this day and age, you know, unfortunately isn't done in person anymore, right? And so the way that voice and the way you deliver those words is the most important. And the agents on my real estate team, you know, let's say an offer comes in and, you know, one of my team members sees it, they call me and they go, oh my God, did you see this offer? I said, if you call that client and say that, you're dead. You're dead. You know what? That offer may suck in your mind, but until we say, listen, great news, we got an offer. I've got it in your email box, want to go through it. And I stay high energy no matter how bad it sucks, because you know what? It's going to be a lot harder, you know, to talk them off the ledge that you threw them off of than it is to keep them up here with you. Right. And so I learned that a long time ago, probably my first year in real estate. I was like, oh my God, what have I done wrong? You know, it always killed me when, let's say you're on a property tour and the the tenant rep or the buyer rep, whoever is representing that person coming to look at the property, immediately opens their mouth like, oh, this brick is just so hideous. I'm thinking to myself, why is that your opinion? And why are you like, go in your car, I'll sell this to your client. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've always been a neutral, stay high energy, even when the news delivery is not all that great, because it's so much easier for me to control them. But like later today, you know, these people that need an extension, which will be the 5th extension on this land deal, you know, they want to do it by Zoom. I know now, every time they email me, can we set up a Zoom call today? I know it's because they want to do it face to face and do their boo-hoo and puppy dog eyes and right? And then I do my, you know what face. But that's why they want to do that Zoom, because they think that that affects me in any way, shape, or form. You look, it's very simple to me, you know, and I'll be very honest with that person. I'll be like, look, you signed the contract, you chose the terms. If you need another 30-day extension, 10 grand, non-refundable, pay it. We'll get you that extension, buddy. I mean, seriously, that's exactly how I'll handle it. And that's exactly how we'll get it done. But I'm not, no, I'm not like evil, or I try not to, I'm not going to say I have a poker face. I think everything's pretty obvious, but people guess a lot of times about what I'm thinking, because I do sit still occasionally. It depends on the side of the table I'm on, right? It all matters on that, you know, on where we're sitting.
But
it does matter. Yeah.
We can use the way we read their body language. If we're reading it like neutrally, you know, correctly, like we're not in our head about it and making up stories about it, then if you're negotiating for your client with this land deal, so you're representing the property owner, right?
Seller. Yeah.
Seller. Yep. So when you go to the other side, if you see them like, you know, sweating a little or losing their center, then you use that in your favor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I think what I'm hearing too that's really great is that you're aware of what's going on with the other person. Sometimes salespeople, especially if they're new, are unaware, or they mind read it, or they gloss over, or just like you said, Stephanie, they guess. People guess what I'm thinking. Well, that's a, you know, circle down the drain. I call something verifiable information. If you can ask yourself a question, if I ask, am I mind reading this and guessing, or is this verifiable information? Can I ask a question? Instead of me guessing what's going on, can I ask a question on the other side? The other side's going to give me an answer one way or the other. And so you're reading that mind language you're reading that body language the whole time it's taking place. I mean, I was in a conversation with someone yesterday. I was asking some questions and the person was doing this while they were answering. And the questions that I was asking were personal questions. And that
they were uncomfortable.
They were very uncomfortable.
Squirming. They were squirming. You made them squirm.
Squirming. They did squirm, and the person's eyes teared up. And so for me, when I saw that, rather than glossing over that moment and hoping they came out of it okay, I was just like, okay, I'm right here with you. Answer in the way that's most comfortable, and I'll just be with you with this answer. So take your time. And that gave that person the ability to breathe, take in a little bit of time, and then answer the question in a way that supported them without that whole discomfort taking place.
You're very good at that, Alexanne, in holding space for people, which is very important in business as well. And also creating an environment where people are comfortable sharing. I feel like Stephanie and I have that skill too, because
I think you do.
I can get people to tell me stuff like they just, because maybe I come across very trustworthy and that things are going to be confidential. But I think that's an important skill. Now we have another question from our live audience. Michael, hey Michael. He says, I find strong but not intimidating eye contact is important. Alexanne, he wants to know what you think about that.
Oh man, yes, eye contact is incredibly important. And you start using it as well for your advantage. So I want to talk about something called the look to talk rule. Again, people process every 20 to 30 seconds. So as you're aware of eye contact, you want to notice if someone looks away, give them a brief moment to look away. Look to talk rule is something where people have been taught in early childhood that you want to maintain eye contact, and they never take their eyes away. The whole conversation, they never move their eyes. It's like me just looking in the camera, constantly having this conversation with you and never moving my eyes away from anything at all.
Did you freeze? No, I'm joking.
Oh, yeah. I know. After about 20 seconds, you're like, oh my God, please move away. So some people have that. When you recognize it, you can just go, I see what this is. So most people, most only means more than half, will think they have to repay that eye contact in kind. Here's what I want to say to you. Understanding 20 to 30 second rule for processing information is very, very helpful. So if you have someone who doesn't break eye contact, feel free to break eye contact for a moment with them, because that's an important piece for you. Your brain has to process and move along. They've just trained themselves to do that. And I have people in my life that just never break that eye contact, and it's exhausting, actually. I do want to talk about something else just came up for me, so I want to share this. You're in a group of 4 or 5 people. Now, I know that this happens with Lisamarie, and I know that it happens with me. You're in a group, you're meeting people for the very first time, and all of a sudden, someone that you've met on the other side is talking to you directly. The eye contact is with you directly. They're not looking at anyone else in the entire group, and they're speaking to you. Why? Because, oh my gosh, you're trustworthy. You've got my confidence. I feel like I like you. I feel like I know you. You're responding back to me, so I'm going to focus on you. Here's what I recommend you do. You look away at someone else in the group. The reason I'm recommending that is that you've just broken rapport at the unconscious level, and that person will have to look at someone else in the group.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's a big tip. Big tip. Even in the audience, I have people who will just focus on me in the audience. I'm the only one they talk to. So I'll look at someone else in the audience, and it breaks rapport. They have to look at someone else. So it's an unconscious thing on another person's experience. They may be uncomfortable, but you make them feel comfortable. So when you know that, then you just turn your head. Like my husband, Lisamarie, he's 6'3". So he's really tall too. So people will be, they're at my height. I'm 5'5" or 5'11", and they're looking at me, and they're not talking to him. So I'll look up at him. Then they start talking to him.
You, right? They follow
you.
you.
You break rapport. It's unconscious. It's uncomfortable at the unconscious level. So they follow. They turn their head in just a few minutes. Now they're talking to my husband.
Yeah. So, Alexanne, I've hosted a networking group for several years now, Northern Nevada Networking. Alexanne comes to my networking event. She has her students come to my networking event because it's a great way. And it's really, that's a helpful tip when you're in a networking event and there's a group of people and someone gloms onto you because it happens and you want to work the room. So I love the fact that you're like, you can look away. And, I think about, I love dogs. We all have animals here. If you stare at your dog, it totally intimidates them. They can't handle it. They look away, right?
They do.
Yeah. It's too much. And then what about the people, I have people in my life that some of them like stare at me, or, they're like you said, directly looking. There's other people that when they talk to you, they never look at you. They're looking off to the left or they're looking off to the right, but there's
I don't like that. They gotta have either. It's like, hello. I only do that when I'm uninterested, right? Like my favorite, which you don't have to be an expert to read my motions usually, because if somebody, I'll tell you a situation. I'm in this house. It was built in 1858, a pre-Civil War house, big, not on the market. It's not for sale. It will be one day. And I keep getting people calling me about it. And so I'm out there on site over the weekend, and these people stop and they go, we'd like to look at it. And I said, well, it'll be $4 million when it goes onto the market. Is that in your budget? Like, can you provide proof of funds? And they were like, well, no, we just want to look at it. I'm like, do you see the sign that says there's tours? Because it's not open. oh my God, I'm so rude. But I was just like, who pulls up and says, can I come in your house? It's weird,
Really?
right?
It is weird.
You know,
Yeah.
or when someone is approaching and I don't like the situation, and so I just start walking away, you know, and they're like, where are you going? I'm done.
Or else Stephanie will go like this and she'll start texting. That's
Oh
another
my
thing.
goodness.
Shut up and leave me alone. It works too. Well, like the other day I was showing commercial property, and we were looking in this hallway behind the property because you can tie in a grease interceptor there, because this client of mine, I'm helping them open multiple locations for their restaurant business. And then the owner of the business on the other side of the hallway saw us, and she was like, what's going on? So she comes around, comes into the closed door of the vacant property, comes right in the middle of our space, Alexanne, my two clients and I, and stands in the middle, and she's like, what's going on? And I was like, I was totally taken aback. So I stopped for a second, didn't say anything. And then I looked at her kind of really directly, and I'm like, what are you doing here?
Did you give her the Stephanie Gilezan face?
I'm still practicing, Stephanie. I have not reached the level of expertise yet, but it was kind of interesting because, and then I turned my body away from her, and then she hung out for a minute, and then she got the message.
Yeah.
So, but what do you do when someone's not looking at you?
That is a really interesting thing. Once again,
excuse me, can I help you? You know what I'm saying?
A couple of things. Some people are really uncomfortable with eye contact. And if as you get trained more, you can recognize specific personality types. I hate to box people, but you can recognize certain types that are uncomfortable. Sure. And you can just let them have that discomfort and still be engaged in the conversation. Your choice. Or you can turn around and you can say, well, this conversation is not for me, walk away. For me, where I come from, I'll depend. How many people have I met in a room? How many people are my meeting? Can I just understand that this is this person's MO? Is there a way that I can engage them more so that they do look more, or are they just completely uncomfortable? Or are they accessing pictures, sounds, or feelings? And that's where they're really involved. It's just how they process information. The trainings help understand how is that person processing. A lot of times it's people that are really uncomfortable, just really uncomfortable with eye contact. And person with the most tools influences the conversation. So when you have the understanding of what it is, you know what's going on with another person, and your heart is open to their world, not yours, then you can be with them where they are and still elicit the information that you need. So if someone's not looking at me, how much of the time am I in my head going, oh my God, why aren't they looking at me? They should be looking at me. Maybe they're not interested. What? I hate these kind of people. This is really bad news. I hate it when, the mind just starts going. Blah, 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 blah,
stories,
blah.
The stories and the tales.
Where's the bleeper? Gosh. I just go, what the bleep's wrong with you? No.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? It's true. Like some people are just really uncomfortable. And in networking events, a lot of times, those are what we call the fire hosers. Those are the people that just start talking about their business, and they'll talk about the facts, and they'll talk about their business, and they'll talk and they'll talk and they'll talk. They're so uncomfortable. And there's training how to handle that kind of a scenario with someone.
So let's imagine we're with one of these fire hose people, because I get them all the time. And I'm sure a lot of people in our audience do as well. And I listen for a certain period of time, and then I get uncomfortable, because when I go to a networking event or a conference, I show up there with a goal. I have a goal ahead of time that when I host my networking event, I want to meet everyone in the room, and I want to help connect people. That's my goal. When I go to a conference, I may have a different goal. So when I come across one of those fire hosers, I'll listen for a bit. And then I say, you know what, my job here tonight is to make sure I connect with everyone. So I need to move along. And sometimes I can divert them to someone else. Like, oh, I think it would be great for you to talk to Stephen over here. But what is a tip that you can do to get rid of these fire hosers quickly and in a professional way without, just.
What you want to do, it's great, is what you want to do is just listen to what they're saying And this sounds like a weird segue, but it does work. So you're saying something, you're telling me you're in commercial real estate, you're telling me all about your business, you're a broker, you're this, you're that. And I say, I literally do this. Oh, time out. So you're in commercial real estate. That's so powerful. Is it okay if I tell you a little bit about what I do?
Oh, I love that.
I'm going to listen for one thing. Yes, I'm in commercial real estate. We had a Super Bowl party. I have a GTO. I'm going to listen to what they're saying. A lot of times fire hosers, people aren't listening to them.
Right.
Because they're wanting to do what you want to do, shut it down and move on. So listen for what they say. And I literally go, oh, time out. And I'll be excited when I say it. Time out. Lisamarie, you're in commercial real estate. There's a lot going on in commercial real estate right now. And I'm going to want to talk about that in a moment. Is it okay if I tell you a little bit about what I do?
I love that.
And then you're going to say, sure. And then you get to make a choice, because I've been with fire hosers where I say, is it okay? I've done it. And I say, is it okay if I tell you a little bit about what I do? And they'll say, oh, sure. And I'll tell them what I do, and they're not listening. And as soon as I'm done with my 30-second infomercial, they're off and they're fire hosing. And then a lot of times, that's when I will say what you've said, Lisamarie. That's when I'll go, you know what? Oops, hold on. I do really want to meet some more people in the room. So do you want to exchange cards or what? And then I move on.
We have a comment here that says, I love this behavioral science culture. Thank you so much. Also in the chat is Alexanne's information. You can stay connected with her at alexannestone.com. And her email is alexanne@alexannestone.com. Those are super easy to remember. Please reach out to her, ask her questions, let her know how much you liked our live show today. And I have a question for you. What was your biggest lesson that you learned in 2021, Alexanne?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't know.
That she could do her job through Zoom.
Yeah, you can, but I was doing Zoom anyway before that. I think the biggest lesson is that, and I know you know this too, Lisamarie, I do something called Timeline, which is a one-on-one therapy-ish based trauma NLP session-y work, where people clear their negative emotions from the past and their limiting beliefs, but they don't ever have to talk about the trauma out loud.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing for me before 2021 was all that work I did was in person. And the world opened up for me after 2021 because of Zoom. So I do a lot more of one-on-one, helping people one-on-one over Zoom. And when and I do coaching, of course. When people do my coaching program, we do that one-on-one over Zoom before you ever start the coaching program, so everybody's on the same page.
So that's true. There was a lot of benefit that came out of the pandemic and our lives changing so much. And even though there was a lot of chaos and stress and unknown for people, which can create, that's a trauma for people, right? All of that. Yeah. All of that that's going on. So, but there were also bonuses that happened. And one of them is that you realize that technology is your friend in your business. Is that what I hear you saying?
It is. It's true. You know what? I was going to jump in with a little body language stuff because I was noticing some stuff a little bit earlier. Stephanie, you had asked Stephanie a question and Stephanie answered the question. And when you first asked, as soon as she started answering, you went like this. The head tilt is a really powerful unconscious message. And it means, oh, I'm interested in what you have to say. And you did it. And then I did it right afterwards. And I was like, oh yeah, we're both listening to what she has to say. So the head tilt is a really nice, you're one-on-one, you're with someone. And also there's two things that happen when you do this. Your body language changes your physiology. So for an example, I'm going to just do this exercise. I want you guys to do this. So I want you to assume the physical body language of being depressed. Just notice what it's like, right? If you hold this for several minutes, your mind will jump in with some depressing thoughts and you'll feel like it. So now what I want you to do is throw your shoulders back, put a big smile on your face, look up at the ceiling and say, I'm so depressed. I'm so depressed.
Yeah, you can't do it.
No,
you can't do it. So your physiology shifts your mind. It shifts your thinking. That's why people change your thinking, change your life. But how? Change your physiology, change your thinking, change your life. So if you're with someone at a networking event and they start talking to you and you're like, oh God, I don't want to listen to this. If you tilt your head, your mind will start you listening. It'll cause you to start listening because you've changed your physiology into that listening, and they receive at the unconscious level that you're interested in what they have to say.
So you can build that rapport and connection, which is so important in our business, in all business, but what Stephanie and I do in commercial real estate, it's all based on relationship. And so that's so important. I'm going to fire another question at you.
Okay.
Also, one of our guests said, Alexanne, thank you for your service in Guam.
Who knew that?
Someone's checking you out, sister.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Yes,
You've been Googled.
I've been Googled. Yes, I was on Guam. Yeah, that's awesome. Where that was when Saigon fell and all the refugees came out of Vietnam. They were throwing babies in the airplanes to get them out of that country. And I since connected with on Facebook with someone that was one of those babies thrown into the airplane. No idea who his parents were. Just got adopted in this country. So, and I worked for the general in the command center of the refugee camp.
Wow.
And boy, that was a time.
I have the chills right now. I have the chills.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Alexanne, tell us what your secret sauce is.
Oh, no. My secret sauce is the experience of watching someone else step into their own greatness, the experience of being with someone else when they realize who they are, when they clear out, when they get it, that since the beginning of time, there's never been anyone like you, and there never will be again. And that's who you are when I'm in the presence of watching someone get who they are. That's my favorite thing. I don't know if that's a secret sauce,
but that's a great secret sauce. And that's why you coach and you mentor, because that's what we thrive on. Lisamarie too, she's instructing our entire junior base at EXP Commercial, developing them into these commercial practitioners that can really start and collect the fee, be successful within the first few weeks of being with us. But that's exactly right. That's my favorite thing too, when we see it in our kids, but when we see it in others, we know, and I love it. I get chills. I told a gentleman this morning, I said, you know what, Clifford, what you've done in the past few weeks, you have it's like he graduated, right? Because he came into himself, I love that.
You feel it, you see it.
Yeah, and when you get to tell another person that too, so much of our life is, and this is why I love what you guys are doing as well. So much of my corporate life was coming to my office because I'm going to tell you what you're doing wrong. So when I managed 15 branches of a computer company in Silicon Valley, and I used to call people, I loved it. I would just love to play with their minds. And I go, okay, I need you to come in my office. And they'd be like, oh no. And they'd sit down in the chair and I'd tell them what they were doing great.
Yeah.
And it would fry the brain. It fries the brain because you're expecting you get in trouble. And it would be so much fun.
That's so much fun.
I love that.
That's a pattern interrupt.
I love that because when I was managing a lot of brokers across the United States in the realty side of things, we would do these monthly one-on-ones, but occasionally there'd be great news to deliver, right? You see greatness, you want to tell them, and I'd send them a work chat in our internal communications, and I would say, please report to my office immediately. Yeah, and they were like, oh my God. I loved it.
They need a diaper when that happens.
Yeah. They're like, you know what? It's so funny because Linda even made that comment one day. She was like, I wonder how many people have pooped their pants before coming to see you.
You should have a box of Depends right outside your office, even virtual diapers. Okay.
Virtual diapers. Yeah. No, but it is great because, that's when, I don't know. I just like playing with people because I think a whole lot of even my clients, and I think building a business through relationships, that's what's so important about it is to be able to be that personalized person. Yes, I'm business. I really am business, but I mess around with everybody because that is me allowing them into my space and not being so standoffish, right? Yeah. I'm a people person, aren't I, Lisamarie?
Did you freeze?
You liar.
Froze, but it wasn't the internet.
Oh my gosh, I did not freeze. I just was wanting to crack
She
you
was
up.
messing with me.
See, I got you. That pattern interrupt. Hey, a couple of things. We have in the live chat a link to Stephanie's calendar and to my calendar. So if you're interested in talking to us about looking at a different type of business model for commercial real estate, or if you're interested in EXP commercial, or even just commercial real estate in general, please grab that link and reach out to one of us or both of us, and we'd love to set up a Zoom call or a phone call with you. I mean, that's a great segue, because it is important to have fun in business, right? It really
Absolutely.
is. And
It really is.
I want to ask you this question, because this is one of the things the people that come onto our live show, they want to know about this. Alexanne, what's the best piece of advice that you can offer to people who want to grow and scale their business in 2022?
Mentoring. Go work with people who've already done what you've done, so that you can, and dedicate yourself to it. When I first got into Apple, selling Apple computers, I paid the big boys. I paid Tony Robbins, I paid Tommy Hopkins, I paid Zig Ziglar, I paid Debbie Fields, who did the cookies, all kinds. I paid for those trainings. I learned how to sell with closes. I learned the words and I practiced the words. Yeah. And then when you know the words, the body language is the next step. Take it seriously, dedicate yourself to it. My car was a university for a full year, and I dedicated myself to never reading anything that wasn't a trade piece for computers or a self-improvement sales piece. So you want this, they have a chance to make a lot of money in your industry. Yeah. So it's like, jump in and take the direction from those people who are mentoring you, because they've been there, done that, know what they're doing.
And I love the statement, success leaves clues. And so it becomes so important that you can learn so much faster from the people that have already done it. You don't have to make the mistakes. You don't have to take the time. And so that's when those people that you surround yourself become so important. You know, Alexanne is in my sphere, and Stephanie. Yeah. You know, it took her a long time to convince me to come to EXP Commercial. I'm so glad she did, because I can't imagine being anywhere else. But I knew right away that I wanted to follow in her footsteps. I told her straight up, do you remember, Stephanie? I'm like, I want to grow with you. I want to move with you. I want to help you. How can I help you be your best? And that's a great question that I ask a lot, is how can I help your day better? How can I support you? What can I do for you? I ask that to my friends, my family, my clients, and the people that work for me. And there was one other question I wanted to ask you about body language. We have a few minutes left. So what do you do when you have someone there? I just watched an old Seinfeld episode where Elaine's on the phone with her friend's dad, and she wants to hang up, and she's like, I gotta go. You know, I gotta go. My car's running out of gas. My phone's gonna die. And this guy just won't get off the phone. So what is a pattern interrupt to get rid of one of these people that are just like suck the life out of you and won't go away?
Hang up. Gosh, hold on. I'll be right there. Gotta go.
And then do you hang up the phone?
Yeah.
Hey, I go,
gotta
wait,
go.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Gotta go.
Hello?
Gotta go. Okay, talk to you soon.
We must have lost reception.
Yeah. How do you do that if you're on a landline, Stephanie? I mean, Stephanie has hung up on me before.
Landline anymore.
Yeah, landline. Who has a landline? Yeah. No, literally, you can just go, hey, hold on, I'll be right there. Oh, hold, you know what? I really got to go. And then you want to talk soon? Okay, bye. And then I'll hang up.
Someone in one of our live audience members says, I say, hold that thought. I have to run. And I guess
that's a good one. I'm stealing that one. Excellent. See, 17 heads are better than one. We have so much to give each other. And I love that piece. And I wanted to say really quickly that what you were talking about asking, how may I help you? I think life is really a trickster, that you think you're giving, but what you get back is so fulfilling.
So
100%. Yes. True.
Alexanne, you've heard me say that, right? I think I've said it to you. Totally.
Yeah.
And we love doing the show. Alexanne, you have so much to offer. We're going to have you come back if you'll honor us with your presence again to talk about something else. This is a live show and a podcast. So we will have it in the next week or so, we'll have the podcast available and the live show will be on YouTube. Stephanie, what words of wisdom do you have for us to wrap us up today?
No, I mean, this was great. I mean, I can't wait until one point where we all get together and maybe we put our computers way back and we do like, you know, some body reads and just do the whole spec. I mean, that would be so much fun.
It would be.
But, you know, it is, you know, anybody that's in this industry, you know, like I said early on, and I'm sure many of you already know this, but your delivery means everything and how you want that conversation to go and if you want to win it or not, right? And it's just to be cognizant of exactly what Alexanne is saying, but also in how those words are delivered. You know, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? And it's how the whole package, it comes together.
Yep.
I'm no master at it, but I've learned a lot in my 24 years in this business. And I feel that I've won enough to where I can give that advice pretty well.
And
That's
you
awesome.
you started when you were 12.
No,
Because you're a youngin'.
No, hey, I own my age. Unlike you, Lisa Marie, I totally own my age. I'm 44 years old.
Hey,
I think it's like Eagle Scout badges, man. I own mine too. Should I tell you how old I am?
No.
69. 69.
69? No way. Do you have a filter on this Zoom?
No.
You look great.
Yeah, thanks. It's the lighting.
You are great.
We have
Notice who doesn't. Look at her body language. Is she uncomfortable right now, Alexanne? What is her body language saying? Oh my God, I'm going to kill Stephanie Gilezan. I think you're saying you're going to kill Stephanie Gilezan.
Sometimes a mystery is good, okay? You don't have
your
to
choice.
Package away. We have someone in our live audience, Quintaria says, this was amazing. As a commercial agent, sometimes I feel like I'm on an island. This was very good stuff. Very, very good stuff. And some people are sharing their ages too. So our next, isn't that awesome? Our next live show is in 2 weeks. It's on March 9th, same time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have Mitch Ginsburg, and he is a commercial loan guru, and he does commercial lending all across the United States. And I think Stephanie's got something for him to do even outside the United States. And he has game-changing opportunities within commercial lending. So we're excited to have him. And Alexanne, I love you. It's been a pleasure having you so much. And of course, thank you to my amazing co-host Stephanie. It's a pleasure to work with her. So thank you so much, everybody. We look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Bye, all. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks to our live audience. Bye.
Yes, thank you, you guys.